All right, boys and girls, Corey Davis unretiring from the NFL. He just reinstated, put in his paperwork for reinstatement, which means he becomes available for other teams because the New York Jets are scheduled to wind up releasing Corey Davis from his contract. This per Field Yates, veteran wide receiver Corey Davis, who stepped away from football in August, has applied for reinstatement to the NFL. The Jets are expected to release Davis from his reserved retired list today, although a return to New York on a contract is still in play. So fingers crossed we can get Corey Davis back. I would love to see him come back as our number 2 wide receiver, if you want to call him a high-end number 3, whatever it is. I love this move from Corey Davis. Does he want to uproot his family and go to another team? Did he not like the way the team was being run? Did he, were there some sour feelings at the end? Maybe the Jets asked him for a pay cut and that wasn't going to be the thing. He decided, hey, screw it, I'm going to sit out. We don't really know. We never got an answer as to why he wound up leaving the team initially, other than it was for personal reasons. But I love the idea of Corey Davis potentially coming back on I don't know if it would be cheaper based on the contracts that we're seeing from other wide receivers out in the market. You got to think he would be able to fetch at least something like what Darnell Mooney got, which was $13 million a year, which is more money than what the Jets would have paid him last year. So it's a little frustrating. I don't know why. I guess, does his contract toll? Like, would the Jets have had his rights for this year if they weren't going to release him from the retired reserve list? Or is it something that the contract actually played itself out? Although if he retired, you would think the contract would have told. So maybe they think his market's not going to be as robust as what his contract already is. Because this feels like if you had control of his contract, you'd want to retain him. My thinking, at least. Maybe that's wrong. Jay Taylor comes in with Super Chat, says, word is he's coming back to the league, but not to the Jets. So the Jets are releasing him from the reserve contract. So it's not necessarily that he's coming back to the New York Jets, but that it could be in the future, potentially, if the Jets and him rework out a new contract. So I'm excited to see where this could potentially go. Look, wide receiver 2, Corey Davis was my wide receiver 2 last year. Like, as much as we signed Lazard and we had Mecole Hardman and they were going after Odell, Corey Davis was my wide receiver 2. And to some degree, with Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay tried to trade for Corey Davis on multiple occasions. So even Aaron Rodgers wanted to play with Corey Davis to some degree, because I don't think Green Bay trades for a wide receiver that Aaron Rodgers didn't want to play with at the time. Now, the whole retirement just before the start of the season, there's rumblings that players thought Corey Davis could be doing that back in the spring, which to me tells me like, hey, you know what? Maybe this was just a mental reset for him, and he does potentially want to come back, and the Jets are releasing him from this list, so that way they can actually, or he can go wherever he wants to go. Because if he didn't want to be with the Jets last year, he may not want to be with the Jets this year. But it gives the Jets at least a slight inside chance to get Corey Davis back here in the building, especially since he's already in New Jersey. Like, that's the thing. His whole family's here. He moved here. I've always liked Corey Davis. I hope he comes back. Oreo says, is it out of the question to trade for Justin Jefferson all in? I saw odds that the Jets were like top 6 favorites to land Justin Jefferson in the event he's traded, which feels like a whole word salad that doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. I think the Jets should be in on Justin Jefferson if there's going to be any type of trade, but I don't think the Jets will be able to trade for him. I think other teams will probably be able to give up more than the Jets will be able to, and he's going to get a massive contract. So I don't think the Jets are going to be on that list. I would be surprised at least. Let's see. Let's go to some of your questions and comments. Dakota says, I'm usually always first for quite some time now, especially in the Jake Asman streams, but lately I'm losing my title being first consistently. Dakota, we've always appreciated you being the first in here, and if it encourages more people to come in because they want to beat you, then I'm happy with that too. Either way. Let's see. JT says, I don't know how I feel about this, though. Injury concerns and dropped issues plagued him back when he was first with us. Hope that shures up for him. So I think placement of the football also plays a factor within drops and also getting players injured. So Zach throwing the ball all over the field and not getting it like in Corey Davis's hands where he's got to now leap up into the air or contort his body backwards. I think that leads to more injuries and more, rough shots from safeties and linebackers over the middle. So maybe there's a situation he comes back. I would love it. I hope it happens. We didn't really get to see him with Aaron Rodgers at all last year, and it is certainly something I want to see. Boys and girls, hit that like button in the live chat. You know what? I'm going to start a poll question because I do want to hear from you guys. Does Corey Davis actually come back to the Jets? That's the real question. Does he come back to Jets? So I'm going to put that poll question in the chat. You guys can vote on that as we go through this. I want to hear what your thoughts are. I'll pull your questions up on the screen. We'll do this for maybe about a half hour. Then we got to go get the little one from daycare. So get your questions in now while I'm live if you're interested in talking a little bit of Corey Davis. Philip says, love getting Davis back as wide receiver 3. 1 year layoff needs to be integrated into a new to him offense and develop a rapport with Rodgers. Still need to draft a wide receiver in the early to mid rounds. So he's not coming back to the Jets. He's coming back to the NFL, and then the Jets have an opportunity to potentially get him back on a new contract. Now, either way, he's going to have to learn a new offense. And maybe he's seeing the dollar signs that are being thrown around at some of these free agent wide receivers, and he thinks, hey, maybe I can cash in at this particular point in time. I love him coming back as a wide receiver 2-3, and I would still take a wide receiver in the draft. Corey Davis doesn't change my plan moving forward if he does end up being here. Harry W. says, Connor Hughes says the Jets love Corey Davis. I'm sure they do. They gave him a pretty good contract to bring him in, and they didn't, it didn't seem like they tried to force a decision from him last year in terms of him making a decision. He was allowed to miss practices for a bit and step away, and they were letting him take his time doing it. So hopefully there's a good report there, and he does want to come back to the New York Jets. This would be awesome. This would be absolutely monster. J-Boy says, guys, be real. We need someone better. I'm fine with upgrading, but Corey Davis is a pretty solid wide receiver number 2. For what's left out on the market, are you more willing to overpay for Mike Williams? Is he that much better than Corey Davis? I don't necessarily know if that's true. I don't know if it's true. Dante says Corey Davis is needed. He's wanted and needed. We want him here. Come on. AJ Osborne, bro, if he doesn't come back to the Jets and screws us over, I'll be so upset. So it's not so much that he's screwing us over. It's the Jets are releasing him. If he wants to sign somewhere else, it doesn't change the Jets' outlook on anything. It just gives us a potential option for a wide receiver that was in the building. That makes me feel good. I like that aspect of it. Let's see. Bam! I don't know if I can I do comments from 2 different streams? Let's see if I can do this. We're doing a little portrait and landscape action. So if you're commenting over on the portrait version of this stream, it's throwing me for a little bit of a loop. But let's see if I can get this done the right way. I don't know if this is actually going to work. Ron Weiss. There we go. What's going on, Ryan? Maybe Rodgers can talk to Davis. I hope so. I hope everyone's talking to Davis. I hope everyone under the sun on the New York Jets is saying, Corey, we want you back. You're part of the future. We want to move forward with this Super Bowl run with Aaron Rodgers. Sign a 2-year contract. Let's lock in. Lock, stock, and loaded, baby. Come on. Where else you going to go? Stay with us, baby. We want it. We want it. Rusty Spooner says, great. So we have Cinderblock hands, Lazard, and brick hands, Corey Davis on the same team. Hopefully we could trade Corey for some draft picks. So he's going to get released. So unfortunately, no draft picks coming our way from Corey Davis. But I would love, does he wind up netting us a comp pick because he's released from the retired list? Like if this year contract ended, are we releasing him from his contract overall? That's what I don't know. That's what I'm not sure. And I want to get info on that because if he signs somewhere else, it'd be dope as hell if the Jets could get a comp pick back for this. That would make me all sorts of happy regardless. One, I'm happy Corey Davis feels like he's in a better mindset now than he was at the time he retired from the NFL. 2, it gives us at least an option the New York Jets could potentially get him back as a wide receiver 2. And 3, damn, if you could get a wide receiver, if you get a comp pick for Corey Davis because he signed somewhere else, even better. Heck, even Corey Davis just signing with another team, if that's the case, that's one more player that is available for the New York Jets, whether it's the draft or free agency. He's going to displace someone's contract that would be available for the Jets, whether you want Corey Davis back or Corey Davis doesn't want to be here. So either way, this is a big move for the New York Jets. Sean Hansen, thank you so much for joining the Jets Talk 24/7 community. Yeah! That's what I want to hear. Thank you, brother. Much appreciated. Alex says, New York Jets, when you don't know what you're doing, just do something you did before and people will not notice. No, people notice. It's like, oh, wow, we're just going to wash, rinse, repeat the same thing. Zachary Berner says, Sam Howell to the Seahawks. Is that actually true? Is that news or is that a prediction? I didn't see that. Robert Martin. I don't know why you like him so much. Corey Davis, sucks. He dropped everything. Did you see who was throwing him the ball? Zach Wilson has no touch. Breece Hall had like 3 or 4 drops last year. That's very un-Breece Hall-like. Would you want to get rid of Breece Hall because he dropped some passes? I'm gonna blame the archer, not the arrow, in this sort of situation. Oh, so Elon says, love the Sam Howell trade to the Seahawks. So I'm curious to see what did he go for? That's what I want to see. I want to see what he ended up actually getting traded for. Jason, let's go, Jets, Jets. Dude, I hope it's for, I hope we get Corey Davis back. I really want to see him back. Mon-K, man, disc golf says, it leaves a sour taste in my mouth that he would up and retire before one of the most influential seasons, then just come back when things are better and expect to have the same role. So I don't know if he expects to have the same role. Like, obviously the Jets are releasing him from that retired reserve list. And if he was looking to retire, it could very well be his own mental health and his own body, like, needing to heal and things like that. It's not necessarily that, like, the Jets didn't want him. Now, if there's a situation where the Jets said, hey, you're taking a pay cut or we're cutting you at the end of last year, well, then he's probably not coming back to the New York Jets, and they were just saying the right things at the time when he did retire and he didn't really want to move. That's fine. If Corey Davis ends up not coming back to the Jets, I'm not going to lose a crazy ton of sleep because, like I just said, if he goes somewhere else and displaces a wide receiver from another team, that makes one other wide receiver available for the New York Jets. So I think that is something that we can keep an eye on. Ogre says, can you trust Corey when he says he actually wants to play, or should a team be worried he walked away again at the end of preseason? Look, I think Corey Davis is a bonus type player. If you get him and Lazard would be your, like, wide receiver 2-3. You're still going to draft a wide receiver in the draft like you normally would. But this may displace, like, a Tyler Boyd type signing or maybe a Mike Williams type signing that you may not want to spend as much money on him for. I think that's entirely possible. Flex Hayes says, if Corey comes back to New York, we're not going to need Mike Williams. But that doesn't mean wide receiver is out of the question. Rounds 1 and 2, if they manage a trade back, Corey liable to drop a catch every week. So I do agree that it does not take wide receiver off the page or off the docket for the New York Jets. You would still draft one high. I would consider drafting one as high as 10. But this would displace whoever you would have brought in as your wide receiver 2 in the offseason. Thanks for Cheese comes in and says, I'm down with him back, but at a cheaper price / draft a wide receiver. Now, I don't remember what he was actually going to get paid this year. I don't know if I can pull up his contract and have the old statistics, but I think I wanted to say it was like $8 or $9 million, and his contract was like actually like a $12 or $13 million cap hit, if I'm not mistaken. So if we can get him back cheaper than that, great. But the way Darnell Mooney got paid $13 million a year, I would have to think Corey Davis could at least get like a pretty decent 1-year contract. But if you can get him for like under $10 million and he wants to come back on a prove-it deal in a year you expect everyone to go all out for a Super Bowl, it would be very, very cool. I would love to see that. Kevin says, what happened with the dead money? So I think we got cap relief already / dead money. He was able to be cut last offseason and the Jets didn't cut him. He wound up getting, retired reserve list or whatever. So I think his contract is actually up. The Jets just have to release him from that list. Unless we get the salary cap back and then it hits our salary cap now, and then we have to reserve release him. I'm not exactly sure. It's an interesting situation that I haven't really run into before. But Corey Davis being back at the very least provides some opportunities for the New York Jets to get some other wide receivers or bring him back, one of his own. Jonathan Moore says, Ryan, take a nap. Dude, I was so ready to take a nap. I just sat down on the couch and I opened up Twitter and this happened. And I was like, all right, we're going live, boys and girls. I want to hear it. I want to see my thoughts. I want to hear my thoughts out loud, tell you guys my thoughts. And then I'm going to hop off in a little bit here. We'll go for 15 more minutes because I got to go get the little one from daycare. Let's see. Mike D's nuts. I'm so glad you changed that. Been pounding the sand to the importance of Davis and his absence. That's a great addition. He'd add a lot to the wide receiver room. I hope we wind up getting Corey Davis back. I really do. This is him coming back to the NFL. If he signs a deal with the New York Jets, it solves our wide receiver issues. And look, I think the Jets have always done right by Corey Davis. I just hope they didn't handle things weird down the end of the stretch if they were trying to possibly cut him. Or I guess they were trying to replace him maybe last offseason with some of the Odell Beckham Jr. news and the maybe some of the D-Hop rumors and things of that nature. I hope Corey Davis comes back. I really do. It's not going to free up any more cap space or anything like that. I see some comments in there about that. But very, very happy that Corey Davis is at least feeling good enough to come back to the NFL. JETS, Paulie says, Zach lists his New Jersey townhouse and Corey Davis unretires. Coincidence? I think not. Corey Davis is probably like, dude, I cannot deal with this fucking Zach Wilson character anymore. I just want him out the door. And then now we're going to sit here and we're going to say, okay, his house is for sale. I believe you guys. Now, okay, I'm coming back. We're ready to roll. Let's fucking win a Super Bowl. Rico the Pup says, it's true. Howell, the Commies get a 4th and a 6th round pick. Howell and the Commanders' 4th and 6th round picks go to the Seahawks. The Commanders receive the Hawks' 3rd and 5th round picks. So they move up 1 pick in each of those rounds. Interesting. I would not have condoned the Jets giving up a 3rd and a 5th. We don't have a 5th, but it would have been a 3rd and a 4th, I guess, in that capacity for the Jets to match that contract. So 3rd and 4th, I would not have done that for Sam Howell. I'm glad he goes to the Seahawks. It's not something that I would have condoned the Jets doing. Jonathan Carson comes in and says he does not go anywhere else. He was probably sour about Zach's slander. That's his guy. Hopefully, Zach is not his guy. I don't want that. Shane McGarry says Corey Davis had drop problems in 2021, but 2022 it was improved. In 2023, he'd have a better quarterback. He would have wound up having Zach Wilson, but he would have been able to have Aaron Rodgers. So Aaron Rodgers comes back this year. Corey Davis maybe comes back this year, and then maybe you're cooking with fire and you have less drops because the ball's actually being placed where it needs to be placed. We can hope. We can hope, boys and girls. Matt Riley says, I love Corey Davis, but I'd prefer to go after Mike Williams or Tyler Boyd because in my opinion, they're better, definitely better wide receivers. And yes, you would have to pay more, but you're going all in, so get the best players you can. So I guess you have the same injury concerns, maybe a little bit more injury concerns with Mike Williams. Tyler Boyd's probably a little more sure-handed. I don't know what his drops are offhand, but we've never seen him in an elevated role. He's been wide receiver 3 for so long in Cincinnati. Corey Davis, on the other hand, has been the focal point of this wide receiver room with a poor quarterback and a poor offensive line. So upgrade the offensive line. You obviously you've got Garrett who's come on like a wildfire. Bringing Corey Davis back with an Aaron Rodgers, I think this is something that you could be very excited about. I would prefer Corey Davis over Williams and Boyd, honestly. Flex Hayes, what if Corey read the script for last year and didn't want to play with Zach again? He saw Rodgers tweak his Achilles or tweak his calf in training camp, and then he was like, nope, I know where this is headed. I'm not bowing out mid-season. I'm going to do it now because I have a hunch something's going down. He had the script ahead of time. That's what it was. That's why he didn't do it. AJ Osborne says, I'd rather Corey Davis than Boyd just because he's an outside wide receiver. We don't need any more slot guys. So I think Boyd would be a big slot for sure, and I think you could probably flex a few guys around the formation a little bit, but I like Corey Davis for what he could potentially be with Aaron Rodgers. I'm a big Corey Davis fan. Oreo comes in, says, did everyone forget how Corey Davis always had crucial drops? But he was always open. He's also had clutch opportunities. I mean, he's the whole reason we won that Browns game where it absolutely boom, nuked the Browns' chances. Then we got the onside kick opportunity. Corey Davis, You can come back anytime you want. So Corey Davis, does he come back to the Jets? 75% of you in the chat right now, per the poll question in the live chat, have voted yes. There is nothing. There's 25% of you that say no. So math-wise, it's like damn near 300 of you, I guess, want to see Corey Davis back or believe he will be back. That makes me smile. That's what I want to see, baby. Dakota says Howell should be better off with Seattle than Washington, but no Pete Carroll anymore. He'll get an opportunity, right? So that prevents Seattle from needing to force their hand to come up for a quarterback. I believe Geno's back on his contract for this year, but then it's going to be Howell for 2 more years, or for 1 additional year beyond this year, I think. So they can allow a quarterback maybe to fall to them. Maybe they go for one in the second round or something to compete with Howell next year. And then you give the guy a redshirt year this season. I think that's the route they're probably looking to go. Evan says, give me Davis over Mike Williams or Tyler Boyd, a bit more cost efficient and leaves more for offensive line and running back investment. I'm with you. I want Corey Davis over some of the other guys that are out in free agency. Raging Jets fan says, really seems like we're getting another great team together this year. I really hope Davis comes back. I want him back on the team in the worst way. I really do. He's one of my favorite Jets. I was pumped when we got him 3 years ago. Mitch comes in and says, is there any Jets fan that isn't a name chaser? The only thing worse than no moves are bad moves. So, Mitch, which players are you referring to as name chasers? Is Corey Davis considered a name chaser? Or is, Boyd and Mike Williams considered name chasers? Like, which name would not be deemed a name chaser that you would like to go after? I would like to see that pop up in the chat. Let me know. Red John says the only free agent wide receivers better than Corey Davis is maybe Mike Williams and Hollywood Brown. That's it. He's as good or better than the rest of them. I like the chemistry he has with our team anyway. And I feel like we should have some type of inside track in getting him back. I would hope so, at least. I really want to see Corey Davis back here in New York. Jesse says, don't want him. He walked out on us last year. I don't trust him to not do it again. Well, I don't think you bank on him being the guy. I think you still take a receiver in the draft. And if you have to move on with someone in the summer, there's going to be guys that are going to become available. There's going to be, post June 1st cuts. There's going to be cuts that happen near training camp. I'm fine with a few different routes here. And I'm cool with rolling the dice on Corey Davis. I don't think he would do it twice. Tropical too. Says, I think it would be great if Davis comes back, but how do we know he is in a good place with the locker room? He did quit on them and come back a year later. So if it's true, there were rumblings that players knew that Corey Davis was contemplating retirement back in the spring. And I don't know if Douglas knew it. If he did, shame on him for not loading up on wide receiver, unfortunately. But if the players didn't want to spread that to the rest of the team and let Corey make his own decisions, then I don't know. I think the players are probably understanding, and they would want the same type of understanding if it came to them. Heck, the Jets allowed C.J. Mosley to come back. He opted out during the COVID year, and there doesn't seem to be any sort of repercussions from a locker room standpoint. So I think this is somewhat similar to that, or adjacent maybe. That's what I'm thinking. Ray Sean says, I would literally be sick if the Patriots pick him up. I don't want the Patriots to pick him up. I'd be pretty sour if that ended up happening. Rusty Spooner says, send Zach and Corey to Denver for Sutton. Yeah, let's do it. I wish we could use Corey as a trade chip and he wasn't just getting released. That would drive me bonkers. It's all right. Matt Curtis says, we getting Corey Davis back this year? I hope so. Matt. I've got my fingers crossed. Mitt Flair comes in. He says, we need Corey Davis. We do. I want some CD. Not some of these MP3s that are out. Give me some hardcore disc action. John Holton says, I love Corey Davis here. He has never had a guy like Rodgers throwing the ball to him. This solves wide receiver 2. Now go get Tyron Smith, then draft best player available. Dude, if he does come back as our wide receiver 2, I'm feeling very, very confident going offensive tackle in the top of this draft, or trading down, getting your tackle, and then going with a wide receiver in the second round. This would change a little bit of how I approach things, I think. Similar to the Morgan Moses thing. It does kind of steer your thought process to some degree. Let's see. We've got Nick T joining the show. Let's go over to Nick T, see how he's doing. Nick, what's up, brother?
Ryan, my man. What's up?
How you feeling about Corey Davis potentially coming back?
It's interesting. So I wanted to ask you, so Do we have to release him because of the cap number that he was at before he retired?
So I don't actually know the answer to that question. It's such a weird situation because of like, I think the contract, I would imagine it would have told. So maybe it's some sort of cap hit situation as to why the Jets can't actually hold on to him right now, or why why it would be any different. I'm fascinated to see how it all plays out. It seems like the Jets are able to get him back if they want, like assuming he wants to play for us again.
I wouldn't mind it as like a secondary or tertiary receiver, right? Like a third or fourth wide receiver. He comes in at vet minimum. You have Lazard and him, and if we can bring in somebody else, I don't love Mike Williams. I know a lot of people like Mike Williams. I think he's very injury prone, but I like Tyler Boyd myself. But someone else that it would be very, very deep. I think the depth with Davis, another vet wide receiver, would be nice. I'm excited. I'm excited because I still think there's a lot more. And we were expecting Mosley to restructure, and he finally restructured. So, I'm really curious to see with that money what Douglas is going to do. Mosley, it actually brings up a good question. So, that I want to ask you. So, Mosley reminds me of, and when we're talking about shameless plug, but my wife and I have the wrestling podcast on Fridays at 6. But we're talking about debuts, and there's a debut last night. But anyway. Jet debuts. Now I'm talking strictly free agency and draft. Their first game is the Jet. Mosley, in recent memory, Mosley had a phenomenal first game as a Jet. Yeah. And I'm trying to think, like, in your mind, is there anyone you could think of, like, their first game, like, this guy's a star? Like
Stephen Hill. Stephen Hill against the Bills. 2 touchdowns.
Yeah. Oh,
that would be my only one that I could say is like, oh, that guy had a really good debut, and then nothing since, or nothing after that.
I mean, my friend Steve and I were talking about, he, obviously this last year, Garrett Wilson in his rookie year, you just knew that first catch he made when he was just making fast. Everyone miss. Yeah.
Yep. The catch this year won catch of the year, right? Like the wacky circus catch there. Yeah. He like pulls it away from the Bills defender. Beautiful.
I know we don't see things that type of stuff happens against us as Jet fans, not for us.
Oh yeah. Yep. That's exactly how it goes. We never get the benefit of any of this stuff, but it's nice to see.
What's your opinion on I'm torn because again, the Raven offensive line is always good, and how much of that is coaching, how much of that is the organization. I really wanted Zeitler, and the whole idea. Like, I don't get why we have Moses. Why wouldn't you just bring Zeitler and play next to him and just put that whole right side?
3 of the 5 pieces. Just put them all on the Jets offensive line. AVT starts over to left tackle. You got Tippmann at center. Boom. Perfect.
That's I don't want AVT at tackle at all. I want him at guard. I think he's an all-pro caliber. He actually reminds me, I don't know if it's his build. He reminds me of Randy Thomas.
Ooh, interesting. I don't know. Maybe. Do you think that
build, like athletic, like pulling all the time? Yeah. I always remember Randy Thomas, and then he obviously left us for the Redskins or Washington then. But
we lost a bunch of people to the Redskins at that point. I think that was the John Hall, John Morton, Lavernius Coles, like everyone just fucking left.
And then we traded Santana Moss back for Coles. Ugh.
Yep. I remember being like, yeah, we got Coles back, like because I was younger at the time, and then I'm like, oh wait, that probably wasn't like the best trade. At this time.
He's another great example of a mid-round pick that just panned out, right? Third round.
Hey, it happens sometimes. Sometimes lightning, I don't want to say strikes twice, but sometimes it works out for us. Sometimes it doesn't.
Hopefully this year, right?
Fingers crossed. Nick, you have been ejected from the cockpit. Great call. All right, let's go over to boom. Share screen. I want to pull up Big Fella's super chat. Thank you so much. He says Corey Davis is a 3. We should still go out and get a wide receiver. Push Lazard as far down the rotation as possible. If you get Corey Davis, I feel like you would want to maybe go the route of the draft to replace your next wide receiver. Just because I like having someone that we can groom for the next few years, for sure. And depending on how you want to run this offense, I think it runs through Brees. Then our first option from a wide receiver standpoint is going to be Garrett Wilson. And then our second receiving option, I think, is going to be, assuming it's not Breece Hall, is going to be Tyler Conklin. So you're looking at a target number 4 is what you're looking for. So depending, I don't think I would go the free agent route with Davis as your number 3 if that's what you wanted. I would prefer to go wide receiver 2 in the draft and, obviously continue to push Lazard further down the list as far as you can. Boys and girls, if you do want to call in, nope, sorry, not going to do any more call-ins. I wanted to do this for 30 minutes, so let's wrap it up here. I want to give you guys my thoughts real fast. Obviously, Corey Davis coming out of retirement, stepped away last year in August. He has applied for reinstatement to the NFL. The Jets are expected to release Davis from his reserve retired list today, although a return to New York on a new contract is in play. So I'm curious to see where you guys think the New York Jets go at wide receiver. Do you think Corey Davis is the immediate option number 1 for us? Where do you think another landing spot for Corey Davis would be? Do you think he's going to the Chiefs? Do you think he's going to one of these other teams somewhere out there? I do want to see that. It's Cole that comes in with the super chat. Says, get Corey Davis and buy out bum Lazard. Lazard reminds me of Mims. Penalty magnet. I want Alt or Odunze at 10. I would love Alt or Odunze at 10. I think there's a good chance both are gone by that point. But there's going to be some other options. There's a lot of good drafted players that we can get at number 10. We are in prime position. And if you have Corey Davis, if he ends up being your number 3 wide receiver, that makes me feel good. That's what I thought was going to happen. I thought he was 2. I thought Lazard was 3. I thought Hardman was going to be here. I thought, Elijah Moore was going to be here. And then obviously you make the trade away with him. And that is what it is. I don't know. All right. Boys and girls, I'm going to hop off. I got to get the kid from daycare at 5 o'clock, so I'm heading out. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section down below. And as always, go Jets.